She ran toward his car like she knew something he didn't. Her voice broke the silence of the street. "Get out. Please. You have to get out of the car." He looked up, confused. Then the other girl appeared beside her. And what they did next saved his life. It was supposed to be a routine morning. He parked his silver sedan right by the curb. Downtown was bustling, phones ringing, shoes slapping the concrete, and his assistant was already 10 minutes late. Nathan Hale sat behind the wheel of his car, checking emails, responding to investors, reading one text too many, ignoring the world around him like he always did. He was 35, polished, powerful, and impatient, the kind of man who didn't look twice at distractions, not even when two little girls started walking toward him. They were small, 6 maybe, wearing white cotton dresses that looked out of place in the city's grime. One held a teddy bear. The other had eyes that didn't belong on a child, wide, worried, focused. They didn't look like they were with anyone. There was no mother in sight, no adult chasing after them, just the two of them, moving closer to his car. He didn't notice at first, until the smaller one, the one with the bear, reached out and tapped on his window. He flinched, looked up, then rolled the glass down 2 inches. His voice was sharp. "Hey, what are you doing? Where's your mom?" But her answer wasn't what he expected. She pointed up, right above his car, and said, "You need to get out. Now." Nathan blinked. "What?" The second girl came running to the passenger side. Faster, more desperate. Her face flushed. She shouted, "Please, get out. You're not safe in there." People were watching now. Pedestrians pausing, some pulling out phones, others laughing, thinking it was some viral prank. But the girls didn't laugh. They weren't filming. They weren't playing. Nathan sat frozen. Was this a setup? Was someone about to rob him? But before he could lock the doors, the girl on the driver's side yanked the handle. It was unlocked. She opened it with surprising strength. And he snapped, "Hey, back off. What are you doing?" She didn't answer. She just reached in, grabbed his wrist, and tried to pull. And for one terrifying second, he thought of jerking his arm back, of calling security, of shouting. But that's when he heard it. A low creaking, like something bending, metal above him groaning. And suddenly, every sound around him disappeared. There was only the crack, the lurch, the instant drop of his heart, and the beam, a thick metal beam from the half-finished construction above, snapped free, and in a blur of rust and speed, it fell. He didn't remember moving, only stumbling out of the car with the girls pulling him, just as the beam crashed through the roof of his car, shattering the windshield, crushing the driver's seat like paper. Screams erupted. People ran. Debris flew. And Nathan Hale, billionaire CEO, stood barefoot on the street, glass in his hair, face pale, heart racing. The girls didn't speak. They just held hands and looked at him. "You're okay," the taller one whispered. "You're safe now." He couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, couldn't move. The crowd circled in, phones pointed, police sirens in the distance, and the girls were suddenly stepping back, blending into the chaos, slipping through legs, like they were never there. He called out, "Wait, who are you? Wait." But they were gone. He stood alone, next to the wreckage, the silence in his chest louder than any siren. And when the paramedics came and asked what happened, he only said one thing. "2 girls. Save me." Later, at the station, he gave his statement. They asked him if he knew the children. He didn't. They asked if he remembered faces, names, clothes. He only remembered 2 things: white dresses, and the way they looked at him, like they knew something he didn't. Back home that night, Nathan didn't sleep. He paced, replayed it all. Why him? How did they know? Where did they go? His phone rang. His assistant, his board, the press. Everyone wanted to know why he wasn't in the hospital, why he wasn't online, why he wasn't angry about the accident. But all he could say was, "They saved me." 3 days passed. The city moved on. The construction company issued a public apology, blamed a faulty cable, paid off the damage. Nathan didn't sue. He didn't return to his office. Instead, he took his car to the junkyard, watched it get towed, crushed, gone. He visited the site every morning. Same time, same place. But the girls never came back. Until day 4. It was raining lightly. He sat on the same bench across the street, sipping coffee, watching the sidewalk. And there they were. Same dresses, same small hands, holding the same bear. They walked right past him, like they didn't know him, like nothing ever happened. But he stood and called softly, "Hey!" They paused, turned slowly, eyes calm, like they'd been expecting him. The older one stepped forward, her voice barely above the rain. "Did you listen this time?" He nodded. "More than you know." She looked back at her sister, then at him, then smiled. "Good." Then she turned to walk away again. But this time, Nathan followed. Not fast, not threatening, just enough to ask, "Wait, please, tell me how you knew." They paused again, the younger girl still clutching the bear. The older one tilted her head. "Mom told us. She said if we ever saw your face, to pull you out before it happened." "Before what?" he asked. What did she mean? But their eyes dropped. Sadness now, where once there was urgency. "You'll understand soon," the girl said, and then they vanished again, into a waiting alley, gone before he could even blink. Nathan didn't move, didn't chase them. He stood in the rain, soaked, haunted, and completely lost. He didn't know their names, didn't know their story, but deep inside, a memory began to stir. Something old, buried, forgotten. And for the first time in years, he felt something he hadn't felt since long before he became a CEO. He felt scared. He felt scared, and that was new. Not the kind of fear that makes a man run, but the kind that makes him stop, completely still, like something's about to rise from beneath the surface. And once it does, nothing will ever be the same. Nathan stood in the alley's mouth, rain dripping from his sleeves, staring into the place the girls had vanished. There was nothing, just a brick wall, a rusted dumpster, and silence. They were gone. Again, he pressed his hand against the wall, half expecting it to shift, to reveal a door, to open some hidden world. But it didn't. It was just a wall, like the memory trying to return. Locked, closed, protected by time. He didn't go to work that week, didn't return his assistant's calls, didn't check his portfolio, didn't even shave. Instead, he wandered the streets near the site, window to window, corner to corner, asking questions he couldn't explain. "Have you seen two little girls? White dresses, maybe 6 years old. One has a teddy bear." Most people looked at him like he was strange. Some offered smiles. Others looked uncomfortable. One woman at a bakery paused. She tilted her head. "Two girls. White dresses. Near 6th Avenue?" "Yes." Nathan stepped forward, hope crashing in. She nodded slowly. "Yeah, they come by sometimes. Don't say much. Just stand outside with those eyes. Quiet." "Do you know where they live?" he asked. Urgent now. She shook her head. "No. They always vanish before I can ask. Like ghosts." Nathan started writing it down. Every sighting, every street name, every time someone mentioned them. He drew circles on a map, marked the benches, the alleys, the bakery, the old theater across the construction site. Each place connected, a pattern beginning to form, like the city was hiding them, like they were watching him through windows he couldn't see. On the 7th day, he returned to where the beam fell. The street was cleaned up. New tape, fresh paint, steel braces now wrapped around the construction supports. But no one else seemed to notice. The memory of what happened, already buried under headlines. Only Nathan stood there, haunted. He looked at the spot where the car once sat, where his body once would have been crushed. Then a voice beside him said, "You would have died." He turned fast, too fast, heart in his throat. She was standing just behind him. One of them, the smaller girl, dressed damp, hair held tight. "You came back," he whispered. She nodded, like it was obvious. "Why?" he asked. "Why me? Why that day?" She didn't answer. She just looked down, then back up, her voice gentle, but flat, like she was repeating something taught long ago. "Because it wasn't your time. Not yet." He crouched to her level, looked into her face. "Are you real? Are you even real?" The second girl stepped out from behind the barrier, her eyes softer now, sad. She reached into her pocket, pulled out something small, folded. It was a photo. She handed it to him and said nothing. He unfolded it with shaking fingers. It was a woman, young, maybe in her 20s, dark hair, warm smile, and she was holding a baby. 2 babies, twins. Nathan's heart froze. He stared at the woman's face. There was something familiar, but he couldn't place it. "Who is this?" he asked. "Your mother?" They nodded slowly. "And she knew me?" The older girl looked away, then back again. "She did, before she disappeared." "Disappeared?" The younger girl clutched the bear tighter. She's gone now. But she told us your face, told us what to do. Why? Why me? Nathan pressed. The girl stepped closer, almost in a whisper, because she said you wouldn't remember her. But she remembered you. His stomach dropped, like the wind was knocked out of him. He looked back at the photo, studied every line in her face, every corner of her smile. It wasn't possible. He never. But the flash came like a scream in the dark. A memory, hot and sharp. A diner. 10 years ago, he had just closed his first investment deal. Stopped for a coffee. She was working there. Dark hair in a braid. She spilled a glass of water on him. Apologized too much. Laughed nervously. They talked. He stayed longer than planned. Came back the next day. And the next. She was kind. Honest. Poor. He never told her who he really was. Just said his name was Nate. Just wanted something real for once. They spent 3 weeks together. Then he vanished. Without goodbye. He got promoted. Left town. Moved up. Moved on. Until now. The photo slipped from his hand. Landed in a puddle. And he stared at it like it was burning. He whispered, "Your mother's name. Was it Claire?" Both girls nodded. He stood. Staggered back. "She told you about me?" They didn't nod this time. They just said, "She told us to save you." Because she couldn't. He sat down on the curb, in the same spot where the beam had crushed his car, and buried his face in his hands. The silence around him was thick. Cars passed. Rain dripped. And 2 little girls waited without moving. Finally, he looked up. Where is she now? The answer came slow. In pieces. She got sick. A year ago. She didn't tell anyone. Not even the hospital her real name. No family. No visitors. Just us. She said not to be angry. She said the world didn't owe her anything. And neither did you. She just wanted you to live. Even if you didn't remember why. Nathan couldn't speak. Couldn't stand. His heart split in places he never knew he still had. You don't understand. He said finally, I never meant to leave her. I didn't know. I was young. Stupid. Busy. The older girl stepped forward. She reached into her bag. Pulled out a second photo. This one was different. It was a drawing. A child's drawing. Crayons. 2 little girls. 1 woman. And a man. Tall. In a blue suit. Standing beside them. She handed it to him. She said this was her wish. That one day you'd stand beside us. Just once. Even if you forgot everything else. Nathan held the paper. Let the raindrops smudge the colors. And closed his eyes. What are your names? He asked finally. The older girl spoke first. Her voice soft. But steady. I'm Alara. She's Ren. He said them out loud. Twice. Then again. Like he needed them to sink in. Alara. Ren. They nodded. He opened his mouth to ask more. But a car horn snapped the moment in half. They turned to run. Wait. He stood. Please don't go. Alara looked back. Only once. We'll see you again. If you keep listening. Then they were gone. Nathan stood there. Soaked in rain. 2 pictures in hand. One from the past. One from a child's hope. And for the first time in years, he whispered a prayer. Not to be rich. Not to be right. But to remember. But to remember. That was all he could ask for now. Not answers. Not forgiveness. Not even closure. Just memory. Something buried. Something true. Something his heart had hidden so well. It no longer recognized the cost. Nathan sat at the edge of his bed that night. The apartment around him cold. Sterile. Silent. No pictures on the walls. No children's laughter. No scent of anything except money. He stared at the 2 drawings on the nightstand. The photo of Claire with her newborn girls. And the crayon sketch with his face beside theirs. Even though he had never stood there in real life. Even though they had never met until a beam nearly killed him. How could they have known his face? His voice? How could Claire have remembered him? Believed in him? Prepared her children for him? He didn't deserve that kind of grace. Didn't earn it. Didn't even understand it. He lay back. Closed his eyes. Let memory pull him under. And in the dark, something opened. Like a locked room in his chest. He saw Claire again. In that quiet diner 10 years ago. Wearing a paper apron. Cheeks flushed from working double shifts. She had freckles. He'd forgotten that. She always twisted her ring when she was nervous. He'd forgotten that too. But most of all, he remembered her laugh. It wasn't loud, but it felt like safety. She'd told him once, if you ever become important, promise me one thing. He smiled, half asleep in the memory. What's that? Don't forget who saved you before anyone knew your name." He sat up, heart pounding. Those words, they weren't just romantic. They were prophetic. She saved him once, back when he was just a kid trying to fake a future. She fed him when he had no money, sat with him when no one else cared. And now, her daughters had done the same, without even knowing who he had become. Or maybe, because they did. The next morning, Nathan dressed differently. Not the pressed suit, not the polished shoes. He wore what Claire would have remembered. A gray hoodie, jeans, a baseball cap. He took the train, not the car. He wanted to feel the city again. The real one, not the glass towers or meetings, but the sidewalks, the noise, the faces. He went back to the alley where the girls disappeared. Waited hours. Nothing. Then the bakery, the old theater, the edge of the construction zone. Still, nothing. He sat on a bench as the sun fell, hands shaking, not from cold, but from something heavier. What if they were gone? What if that was it? What if you only get saved once? Then, a shadow moved beside him. He turned. Ren. She stood quietly, holding the same bear. But this time, her dress was different. Blue, worn. She looked at him, eyes older than her age, and said, "Are you ready now?" He nodded. "I think I am." She took his hand, small fingers wrapping around his, and led him down a narrow side street he hadn't noticed before. They passed walls covered in graffiti, a fence half fallen, a burned-out street lamp, then a door, metal, paint peeling, no sign. She knocked once, then twice fast, then once again. The door creaked open. Alara stood inside. She didn't smile, didn't speak, just nodded. They entered. The room was dim, bare, a couch with springs showing, a kitchen sink with a dripping tap, peeling wallpaper, stacks of folded clothes, children's shoes by the door. It wasn't a home. It was a hiding place, but it was full of warmth somehow, even in the silence. Alara finally said, she didn't want us in foster care, not after what she saw growing up. So she made a plan. She told us where to go, what to say, who to trust, and who never to talk to. Nathan sat slowly, not trusting his own legs. She really thought I'd come back? After all these years? Alara didn't answer that. Instead, she pulled a small notebook from a drawer. Old, frayed, with a pink ribbon tied around it. She handed it to him. Claire's writing on the cover. If he ever comes back, this is for him. His hands trembled as he opened the first page. The words in her voice. Nate, if you're reading this, then maybe you didn't forget me completely. You were kind, even if you were lost. You didn't tell me everything, but I didn't need you to. I wanted to tell you I was pregnant, but I knew what it would do. To your dreams, to your future, to whatever world you came from. So I let you go, but I never hated you for it. Never once. Because what we had was real, even if it was brief. And our daughters deserve to know that once, there was a man who made their mother laugh like no one else ever did. If they find you, it means they saw something I did. The way you look when you care, even if you pretend not to. So if you're reading this, please do just one thing. Don't leave them twice. Nathan couldn't breathe. He closed the notebook gently, hands wet, but not from rain this time. The room was silent. Alara and Ren watched him, not with pressure, just with hope. He looked at them, and for the first time, he didn't see strangers. He saw pieces of Claire, the way Ren tilted her head, the way Alara folded her hands when nervous. He saw himself too, a shadow in their features, a line in their jaw, a stubbornness in their eyes. He whispered, I'm so sorry. You don't have to be. Alara said, we just want to know you. They made tea. He sat at the cracked table with them. Ren curled up beside him. Alara read quietly, and for the first time in a long time, Nathan felt something he didn't know he'd lost. Stillness. Not silence. Stillness. Like life had finally paused. Just enough for him to catch up. He stayed until the sky turned black. They told stories, mostly small ones, about Claire's songs, the way she used to hum when cooking, how she always lit a candle when power went out, even when they couldn't afford much. Nathan listened, and with each story, a wound inside him began to close. Not forgotten, but healing. He stood to leave, but paused at the door. Can I come back tomorrow? Ren nodded. You're already part of the story. Alara smiled. We'll be here. He stepped into the night, notebook held close, and for the first time in his life, Nathan Hale, the man who built his empire alone, knew exactly where he wanted to be. The little girl's words were still echoing in the wind. Can I be your daughter? The man who once built empires and watched nations fold under his feet was now standing in front of a child, asking himself if he deserved the one thing he never knew he needed. He carried her in his arms, snow crunching beneath his boots, until they reached his cabin. A warm fire was already lit from earlier. He placed her gently on the couch, wrapped her in the thickest blanket he could find, and sat beside her as she drifted in and out of sleep. Her fever had broken, but her voice stayed in his chest, like a weight, like a prayer. He didn't sleep that night. He sat up holding her tiny hand, as if it was the only thread keeping him from falling apart again. At dawn, she opened her eyes. He leaned forward, smiling softly. You're safe now, he whispered. Do you remember your name? She blinked slowly, then nodded. Emma. He said it aloud. Emma. It felt familiar, like he'd known it all his life. Then he asked the question he hadn't dared the night before. Where's your mom, Emma? She turned her face to the fire. Quiet. Too quiet. She doesn't come back anymore. She whispered. Not since the bad night. He leaned closer. What happened? Her lip trembled. She was driving fast. They were yelling. Then the car made a loud boom and started to roll. Tears welled in her eyes, but she wiped them with the sleeve of the jacket he'd given her. I climbed out, but she didn't move. I waited, but she didn't wake up. So I walked, and I walked, and I walked until I found snow. The CEO's hands trembled. He'd read headlines about an unidentified woman found in a wreck last week. No ID, no child nearby, just a mystery and a cold case. Now, he knew. He gently placed a hand over her head. You don't have to walk alone anymore. But Emma turned to him again. Do you have someone? Like a wife or a daughter? His throat closed up. No, he whispered. I don't have anyone. She looked down at her hands. Then maybe I can be yours. Just for a little while. The words broke him. He stood up, walked to the window, and let the tears fall where she couldn't see. How do you tell a child that the world had broken you too many times? How do you tell her you once had a wife, once had a home, and a baby that never made it past her first cry? And now, after all these years, when everything was ash, this little girl had wandered into his snow-covered world, with nothing, and offered him everything. He turned back. Okay, he said, but only if I can be yours too. Just for a little while. She smiled. Her first real smile. The kind that melts even the oldest ice. They stayed together for days. He found the hospital where her mother's body had been kept. He gave her a funeral, a proper one, with wildflowers and soft music. He held Emma's hand the whole time and told her, your mother was brave, and she loved you more than life. Emma nodded, but didn't cry. She only looked at him with those same wide eyes. One day, he took her back to the city, back to his high-rise life. The media exploded. Photos of the reclusive CEO with a child. Rumors. Speculation. He ignored it all, built her a room next to his, taught her how to use the elevator, how to eat ice cream on rooftops, how to laugh again. But he never called her his daughter. Not once. Until the day she got sick. A fever that didn't go away. Doctors ran tests, asked questions, and then came the report. Not from the pediatrician, but from someone else. From the past. A woman, with quiet eyes and a folder in her hands, walked into his office one morning. She asked if she could speak to him alone. What is this? He asked, pointing to the manila folder. She hesitated. Emma's mother, she said. Her name was Clara. Clara Fields. She used to work in one of your outreach shelters 10 years ago. In Chicago. He blinked. I don't remember. She opened the folder. Inside were papers, letters, and a photo. It was him and Clara, on a rooftop, laughing. Her eyes. Emma's eyes. We believe she never told you. The woman said. But Emma is your biological daughter. Time slowed. He stared at the page, at the DNA results. The room shrank around him. All this time, she was his.